Welcome to Socializing Security, where every week we have a discussion about security, compliance, and beyond.
Our goal is to learn and grow by socializing each week's topic with each other, our guests, and with you.
A quick compliance note, this podcast is meant for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal or regulatory advice.
We're glad you've joined us, and we hope you'll learn along with us. Welcome back to another episode of Socializing Security. Milou, it's been a minute. Obviously, the watchers, listeners have been seeing us almost every single week. I think we had one week where we dropped the ball. But none of it's really been just the two of us jumping on a call and recording the two of us chatting, because dear Lord, the last few months,
You've been crazy busy. You've been traveling like no other, so it's probably good to just be home again.
Yeah. I mean, I've not been gone from home for more than 5 days, I think, the first half of this year, but I've been gone enough that I just hit status with United, which all of the people that don't travel for work are like, oh, congratulations, that's awesome. And all the people who do travel for work are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Because it just means you're on the plane way too much is what that means. And almost all of it's been work travel. So yeah, it's been a lot this year so far. But fortunately we had some really great content queued up from some in-person type stuff. So let's go back, man, what was it? End of March, early April? I don't even remember at this point. The HERS Conference, we've done a little bit of a debrief on that, but now we've had a few months between us. Why don't you talk a little bit about kind of your thoughts after being able to process all of that after so long, and maybe some of the knockoff effects that have happened since then?
Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love, but I'm very glad that we pulled it off. It was definitely, I thought all of the content that we had from those sessions, and I know they've all gone live, so definitely go back and listen to those episodes, but I think they were all like awesome. I think it was like a very varied group, and I'm very grateful for all of the speakers that came and did it with us. Again, it was a labor of love, but I'm really impressed that we did it and pulled it off. I'm proud of us for doing it. I hope we can do it again next year. But I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And one thing as I've reflected on it, it was, we use the we a lot as we talk about doing it, but it was really mostly you. There's a number of us on the back end that helped along the way that, critical roles, I think you would agree. But it was definitely mostly on your shoulders. So I want to give you kudos for what we were able to pull off there, because without you, it wouldn't have happened. And there was definitely no lack of it that you were shouldering kind of on your own with help on occasion. So well done on that one. I definitely enjoyed the experience. So yeah, I do hope we can do it again next year. Any follow-ups that you had with any of the speakers that we had or any of the attendees, reactions to it? Did people find it as as valuable an experience as we did? I mean, I know we could do it again for ourselves, but we invite a lot of people to join us for it. So I'm curious if you've gotten much from them.
Yeah, I think overwhelmingly it was like really positive. I think everybody was like happy to be a part of it and enjoyed it a lot. And was happy to donate their time, and definitely I think a lot of the speakers were open to the possibility of coming on future episodes and having conversations with us about, some of the topics more in depth, or like some of the things that they're more specialized in. So I think for the most part, everybody that was involved was happy to do it, and was pretty eager about, helping us again in the future. So overwhelmingly positive was the feedback that I got.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so having edited most of that content, because it was very much outside of our normal, spent a little bit extra time on it. The quality isn't maybe quite what everybody's used to particularly from a video perspective. I thought the audio was excellent, but the video was a little bit different. Definitely learned some lessons from that. But I'm a big fan of, as long as the content's good, the delivery can not be perfect. And I thought the content was very good. Very happy with how that all turned out. And Yeah, definitely made a lot of really great connections that hopefully we'll be taking advantage of here through the second half of this year as we, at least as I get my feet underneath of me. So yeah, it was a good time. Any other final thoughts on that before we jump
No,
off
I
to
mean,
the next?
again, for those like tuning in to this episode, definitely like go back and check out those episodes because there was a lot of content that was also out of the ordinary for us. It wasn't like our standard stuff that we were doing. So definitely go back and listen to those episodes. And again, for those involved, thank you for joining us because they were great.
Yeah, very much appreciate that. So that brings us to the next kind of in-person event that really we only got one good piece of content out of, which kind of sucks because we did a lot last year. Was the RSA conference. We were able to both be there in person, which is always awesome, especially because it was like only 2 weeks after HERS. We were back together. Um, I think for me, RSA was very different than the last 2 years I went. It wasn't quite as awe-inspiring, and maybe that's just, the third time going is, the newness of it had worn off. I don't know. But it was definitely interesting stuff, interesting people. Didn't meet quite as many people as I did last year, but I don't think I focused on that quite as much. So that's kind of on me. I think I told my teammates I was less prepared for that conference than I am for any other conference in a long time. So again, just the busyness of life kind of gets in the way of making the most of those opportunities. So it was really a lot more focused on work. Your time there was a little bit shorter than I think we would have liked again this year. Um, but yeah, I guess what did you think? You gotta experience it less as a work event than I did. So curious what you thought.
I think it was definitely more vendor focused this time. I also felt like I got way less like community out of it. Like I'm not sure I would go to that one again in the future just because I felt like I walked away with very few connections and contacts. It was definitely like great to see the vendors like doing all of their incredible presentations and stuff like that, but I didn't feel like it was like the best community event. Like I don't feel like I walked away with a lot of connections. The networking opportunities just seemed like there were fewer. I'm not sure why that was, but it just
Yeah.
felt like it was more about like learning vendors and seeing their presentations than it was really about like meeting people.
Yeah, I kind of had that feel too. I'm not going to write it off at this stage, just because I know I didn't prepare like I normally would. And so I'm going to bear a little bit of the burden myself in the fact that I didn't reach out to a bunch of people and try to coordinate things ahead of time. And, um, you know, from the podcast perspective, try to arrange more recordings for episodes. We kind of got behind the eight ball and kind of took what we could get, which fortunately put us in like the very first slot of the week, and which means we didn't have any experience going on at the conference itself. So I did absolutely adore the conversation we had on tabletop exercises and simulations. That turned out really, really well, because it's such a meaningful topic that oddly we've never really touched on, even even uh, even from a side perspective, much less focused on it. So I thought that worked out really well. It was a little awkward talking about my own work stuff on the podcast, to be honest, but um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Um,
Also just seemed like less of our community was there because I definitely reached out to some of the folks from the podcast that I know have been there in the past and they also weren't attending this year. So I don't know if it was just like a slower year or what was going on or if folks were just really busy this spring.
yeah, that could definitely be it. I know for a lot of people, RSAC is very much a community focused event. They go there to see their people every year. I know of at least one person that I've seen there the last 2 years wasn't there for good reason on her part. So yeah, I don't know. Work will probably make me go there next year anyway. And I'll probably quickly volunteer to be a part of that. Just it's a good conference for me professionally at work. Stretches us in some new and interesting ways, and it's always preaching the good word type of thing. Cool. I've been to a bunch of other conferences, all of which were very work focused, so I won't belabor those types of things. So that's been dominating our feed
Those
for a
been,
while.
like, were local ones that you've been going to, or have they been large ones as well?
Combination, all over the board. I've just got back last week. Was my third time in Vegas for the year. I've been in San Francisco twice now, so there's been some internal stuff. There's been some third-party conferences, first-party conferences, our own user conference, and some smaller ones here and there too. So it's been all over the board. It's been an interesting year from that perspective. Being work from home and being more internally focused rather than in the sales side of things means I don't get out very often, and so I look forward to those events to help understand what people actually talk about.
Yeah, get the face out there and see what's going on.
Yeah. So our feed has been pretty dominated with that content lately. Would love to get people's reactions on all of that as a whole. Now that it's all out, we've pushed out all that content. I've sprinkled in a few different things that I'd also love to get feedback on. And Milou, I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to listen or watch to some of these other pieces, but I've been playing with analogies a lot. I've always been a big fan of analogies, and I've always wanted to do kind of this. What does popular media teach us? May the 4th kind of snuck up on me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hit record and try the Star Wars one because that's one I don't need to prepare for. At least, rewatching the movie because I've seen it more times than probably anything else. And, was able to actually have a lot of fun with editing that one, pulled out a lot of clips from a couple different Star Wars movies. And, I enjoyed making it. It took a lot of time. I thought it worked well. I've gotten some pretty good feedback from a few people, so I really appreciate that. But would love to get more feedback from everybody. So if you haven't, go back and watch that one. Highly recommend doing that one as a video because of the clips. But then, of course, if you know Star Wars as well as me, you don't need to watch the clips to know what the clips are doing. I'm at the point now where I could just listen to the soundtrack and play the whole movie in my mind because I'm that kind of nerd. Also did one on submarines and kind of how submarines and cybersecurity have a lot of parallels, are able to, a lot of zero trust, a lot of tough defenses, a lot of covering each other's bases, team sport type stuff. So I playing with that and I'm like, let's just hit record and I'll workshop that out there and throw it out into the universe and see what happens. So yeah, I would love to know what people think about not just those individual topics, but also just in general. Do those episodes appeal? Are those episodes that are meaningful? Again, those are kind of in that mindset of share it with other people that maybe don't understand security like we all, most of our listeners, I assume, do. To that end, we've been doing this kind of with Steve Sims as we post this episode. Last week's episode was kind of the third in a series on kind of the foundations of security. Again, trying to break things down to a very simple level, talk about one topic at a high level. So like we talked about logging last week, and I think Steve mentioned at one point, this is huge. But we tried to hit it enough to give people an understanding of why it's important and kind of what can be done there. So info@socializingsecurity.com. Hit me on LinkedIn. Whatever avenue works best for you. Post it as a comment on the YouTube video for that particular one. Would love to get more feedback to know if those are episodes that resonate from all of you in our audience. But Milou, I don't know. Have you had a chance to? We're not always good at watching our own content, but curious if you caught either of those episodes.
No,
that
I did. I did catch them, and they were great. I thought they were awesome. I liked what you did, especially with the Star Wars one. That one definitely took longer than usual, but I thought it was awesome. Yeah, and then the parallels with the submarines, I thought it was like an interesting take. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but it was well done.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, any feedback on those as we plan future content? We kind of have a little bit of a series in some places that help with producing content on a weekly basis. Me ranting by myself, Milou speaking the truth, I'm starting to have subsets of those. Heck, if people are interested, I'll put this out in the universe. People are interested in talking about movies and how they relate to cybersecurity, and you have a particular movie that you've thought about in that regard or would love to just chat with me about, let me know. I'd be happy to get you on and have you kind of lead that discussion, have a conversation about that. Not all these, I've got a list of movies, but I'm always looking for more. I'm looking for ones that have a good story to tell. So I'll put that out there as a request to the audience of, if anybody wants to come on and join me on those conversations. I don't necessarily like talking by myself all that much. So cool. That's kind of a bit of a look back. Anything else, Milou, from the last, I'll say 2 years, that you kind of want to reflect on, particularly the last 3 or 4 months?
No, I'm just like, I'm grateful for the time that we put into this. I think you and I are both still having fun with it. And I think that's what's most important. I think you and I, we do this as a hobby. We do this for fun. So as long as it stays that way, I think that's what's so important. But it's wild to me that we're coming up on the 100th episode.
So yeah, that brings us to today.
Happy
As this
100.
episode, yeah, happy 100. This should come out as our 100th episode. It kind of timed out well with all that content that we had. I was afraid the 100 was going to end up in the middle of that, and then we'd have to push to like 128 or some other number. I mean, all numbers are just have meanings either because they're round or they're prime or they're meaningful in a different, binary type counting mechanism. But yeah, we're a little bit of reflecting back because one, it is our 100th episode. And two, we're right about, it's not quite exactly 2 years since we posted the very first episode, which to me is even more wild, is that not only did we manage to do this for 2 years straight, we've done 100 episodes in 104 weeks. And that blows my mind.
That's wild.
Yeah. So as I look, it was May 28th, we dropped episode 0. So first official episode was June 4th of 2024. And this one should drop. Oh man, I should have had that number prepared. Should drop on and why did I not have this? On the 23rd of June. I'm going to put a marker to edit that. Link. So congratulations on 100 episodes in 2 years, Milou. We did it.
Me too. That's crazy. Happy 100.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate your partnership in this, and appreciate those of you that are been watching and listening for a while. Always looking to grow, so feel free to share. Feel free to share with others, share ideas with us as to what you'd like to have. We're coming up with these ideas on our own, but would love to do more of what people request us to do. That is always helpful. So, I don't know that we have much to talk about from the future perspective. We've talked about a lot of different ideas that we've had. I think we come up with great ideas, and then we run into busy periods of life, and they all kind of go to the wayside. So I hesitate to talk about too many of those. But I'm looking forward to do more. We'll see where things pivot. We've definitely got ideas, but we'll maybe hold off on those until we decide to actually do them.
Yeah, I think as long as we're still having fun, and again, I think we've had amazing speakers, and we're fortunate. Generally, when we ask our friends and new contacts to come join us, they're usually pretty happy to socialize with us. So we're grateful for that, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
Yeah, lots of really great people. Which I can't say enough good things about them. They've all been excellent people. I don't think there's a single one we wouldn't call a good human being, or try to get together at a conference. So yeah, highly recommend all of them for whatever that might be. Just put my official blanket endorsement right here.
Yeah, we're spoiled. We've definitely had incredible guests come socialize with us on the podcast. We're very lucky.
Yeah, well, it helps when we have lots of good friends over the years and have been through a few things with them.
Too true.
Cool. Well, this might just be a little bit of a short episode. just felt like there's been a lot of weighty topics in the feed lately, and that, you know, it was worthwhile to just kind of pause and say hi to everybody, since we haven't done that kind of at present. It's always been kind of from way back in the past. So appreciate you all very much. Any closing thoughts, Milou?
No, keep listening. Thanks for interacting with us, and share it, and yeah, reach out, give us ideas of what you want to hear next, or people you want us to interview, or what we should focus on. We're always open to suggestions.
Yep. Cool. Well, we'll let you all go for another week, and hope to see you again next week. Take care. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Socializing Security. We hope you learned a thing or two with us.
If you'd like to continue socializing with us on this topic or have feedback, we'd love to hear from you on LinkedIn or social media. Just search for Socializing Security. Or you can email us at info@socializingsecurity.com.
Until next time, stay social and stay secure.